Hey y'all, Hunter Elliott, rangehot.com. Hope you're doing well. I got my buddy Chad out here helping me do a little bit of the fill in the blanks on a rifle scope that we just got done working on. This is a Riton RTS Mod 3 Gen 2 1 to 4x24 illuminated reticle. And this particular scope model can also be had without the illuminated reticle if you choose. This particular scope was actually designed for the AR style platform, so we got it mounted on a BPM CQB AR pistol chambered in 5.56. Before we go any further, I do want to show you the magazine and out. The bolt is locked to the rear, and we verified the chamber is empty, so we know this system is safe to talk about. So we got the scope mounted up. We zeroed it in about 30 yards, then took it out to the 100-yard range and did some shooting with it. A couple interesting things to note about the scope is when you do want to adjust it, you just can't grab the turret and crank on it. You actually do have to pull it out, and that unlocks it, and you can make any windage or elevation adjustments then, and then to relock it, you just kind of tuck it back in against the scope body. But the cool thing is, whenever you do get it zeroed at whatever you want to zero it, you can actually take the knob off. It's got a little Allen key here. You take the knob off, and then you can zero it. So then if you have to make any changes on the fly of windage or elevation, and you need to go back to where you started, you can always make those changes, keep track of where you're at, and then just zero the scope right back out, and you know you go back to your original zero. That's actually a pretty cool feature. Chad, you agree with that?
I do.
Real quick, let's go through some of the technical specifications and get that out of the way. 30mm tube, so whenever you do decide you want to mount this on there, make sure you get 30mm rings. The tube is made of 6061 T6 aircraft grade aluminum, weighs 19.2 ounces. You got 3.9 inches of eye relief. The adjustment on the turrets are half MOA. The mounting length is 4.8 inches. And for the record, it is a second focal plane reticle. So whenever you're dialing the magnification in and out, the size of your reticle never changes. So actually, Chad has got a little bit more time behind this particular pistol and scope setup at the 100-yard line. So I'm going to let him give him just some of his thoughts on what the scope is, talk about how well it held up, and, you know, I mean, it's a scope, so it did like it was supposed to. What do you think, Chad?
The scope was a lot of fun to use. It was easy to use.
Now, let me ask you this. You said it was easy to use. Mm-hmm. We were shooting at 100 yards. You know, this BPM pistol come with iron sights on it originally. Mm-hmm. Something like this, would you prefer a 1x4 scope over iron sights? If you're shooting, you know, let's say 50 yards on, or, you know, what are your thoughts?
50 yards on, yes. For me personally, some guys can shoot 50, 100 yards with iron sights, no problem. I cannot. I need some sort of glass to make my my shot more accurate.
Well, you know, I mean, some people are really good with iron sights, myself included, qualified expert in the Marine Corps, 4 years in a row with it. We're out M16, Urok Hill. But anyway, but Chad does have a good point. Iron sights are wonderful. However, if you're going to be accurate with iron sights, you're going to be more so accurate with any kind of magnification. So you do get a distinct advantage running a magnified optic.
Yes.
You agree with that?
I do. I do like the illuminated reticle. I think it looks cool. I think the scope overall looks good on the pistol, and I'm sure it would on a rifle as well. I thought it was a fine piece of equipment. It did not hurt my pistol to put it on.
Where it mounts, you do have to remove your rear sight, so you're pretty much dedicated with this. The little 7.5-inch BPM pistol is violent to shoot, especially with this brake on it, man. It is violent. It is loud. It is very unpleasant.
It is awesome.
So he and I have different opinions on unpleasant and awesome. but that's okay. That's why we have Chad here, because it's someone that can be wrong, and it proves how right that I can be, right? Does that make sense?
Without a doubt.
Are you buying any of this?
Every word.
He's the perfect yes man.
I get a check at the end of this, right?
Absolutely. But don't bring that up on camera, please.
I got you.
No problem. The fact that this thing is very obnoxious and loud, if there was some sort of fault with the scope, I feel like this little pistol would have found it. I mean, because the recoil on a 5.56 is not bad. Recoil on a 300 blackout is not bad. I mean, how many rounds all total do you think we run? 100, 150?
Probably 150.
So 150 rounds. Once we got the scope zeroed in, it did held zero. If we made 2 clicks of adjustment, it was 2 clicks of adjustment true on paper at 100 yards. So, and when we zeroed it back out, it went back to zero. So the scope adjusted correctly, and it held zero. It worked. It's a very clear sight picture. So there's not really a whole lot else to say about it other than, yeah, like Chad said, it's a quality piece of equipment. Now, understand, as always, there's going to be an article on rangehot.com, and I'm going to have all the technical specifications on this particular piece of glass, as well as a lot of the other stuff that is need to know, but this is more of just a video overview. So I try to keep these kind of short. Jump over to rangehot.com, read the written review. If you've got any questions past that, reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, whole 9 yards. Be glad to help you any way I can. Chad, do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
No.
Very, very well said.
Thank you.
One last thing I will leave you with, as with all Riton optics, it does have a, no questions asked, unlimited lifetime warranty. So if something does happen to it, Riton's got you back. Y'all, that's about it. So I'm going to wrap this up. I want you to take care of yourselves and each other. I look forward to seeing you at the range.